Hello, everyone. Well, today's book that I'm going to talk about came as a result of a tweet by the author. And the author said something along the lines of, if you like the movie Wrong Turn, if you like the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'll like my book. Here's the link, go read it. And I thought to myself, I do like the movie Wrong Turn, at least the first one. I do like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but listen here, Mr. Author, I'll be the judge on whether or not I'm going to like your book because I like those things. I took it as a challenge accepted. I read the book, and he was right. Lord, was he right. If you like the movies like Wrong Turn, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you are going to love this book, so let's talk about it right now. All right, so the book we're going to be talking about today is Kin by Kealan Burke. And let me give you a hint on how this book starts. And that's going to let you know right away whether this is in your wheelhouse or not. There's a girl named Claire. She's walking down a dusty, dirty road in the middle of a small town called Elkwood in Alabama. And she's naked. She's covered in blood and dirt and grime. The sun has been beating down on her, blistering her skin. One of her eyes has been gouged out. And she's missing fingers and toes. She just escaped a clan of hillbilly people after she watched her entire group of friends get slaughtered and tortured by these maniacs. And that is how we start out this lovely tale of a road trip. So if that's your thing, then you know what you're in for right away. And let me tell you, this book has its feet firmly planted in the slasher genre, like a slasher movie in book form, and it never strays far from that throughout its entirety. I'll give you a little spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler because if you read the book, you understand this early on. The girl does escape. However, she's picked up by people in a truck, taken to a local doctor's house, and those people, they are not quite so lucky as she is because unbeknownst to all of them, watching from the hills and from the mountains is one of the group that she escaped from. And yeah, they know who these people are that picked her up. They know the doctor that lives around them, their parts, and they want her back. Because if they don't get her back, bad things are going to happen to them in their mind. And this book really has two aspects to it. And what I really like about it is that the author puts us inside the mind of this hillbilly clan. A lot of horror movies don't do that. But this clan, we get inside their minds, we see how they operate, and we get to know their thinking behind all this. And of course, it's religion gone bonkers. They believe that they've been blessed by God, that the light of God has shined on them, and only them. And that their job in life is to get rid of all the sinners, all the coyotes, as they call them, all the outside men, outside people that don't belong to their clan. These are all the evildoers. It's all them over there. We're the only righteous ones. And they're very, very motivated, and they believe this 100%. It's not something they use as an excuse to kill, but they actually believe this 100%. That is their complete devotion and their complete motivation. And I don't know about you, but there is something scary about a random slasher, a random killer in movies and books that just does it for whatever reason. But to me, something like this makes it even more frightening because these people are very motivated by what they believe is God speaking to them. And because of that, their belief is very strong, and they will stop at nothing to fulfill what they think is their destiny. And they are bad, evil people. They are monsters in the flesh. This book is very, very clear on that, and it is very, very scary reading about that. Because they will torture people. They will rape people. They will cannibalize people. They will do whatever it takes to fulfill their mission from God, and not just from people who happen to wander into their little area, although if you do that, you're going to die, but also they go out beyond the scope of their area. They go out seeking people, looking for people, and it doesn't matter who, because according to them, anybody who doesn't fit in their little clan is of the devil. And it's an us against them mentality, the whole world against this clan. And they need to take out as many people as they can so they can continue to survive. And, most of the time horror movies or even other horror books don't get into the motivation behind what the killer or slashers are doing too much. And that's what I really like about this book, is that there are sections where you get into the head, and it's a really, and these are some of the most frightening sections, because you realize the mindset that's going on and how they are maybe not unstoppable, but you're not going to be able to reason with them. You're not going to be able to talk them out of it. You're not going to be able to use moral justifications. What they're doing is wrong and why. They're not going to listen because they're motivated by this belief that they are God's chosen ones. And the other part of the story centers around Claire and the people she interacts with and meets, and some of the family members of the people who were murdered by this clan while she was the only one that escaped. So, of course, she has survivor guilt. And, of course, she's not in the best of health. She's missing fingers, she's missing toes, she's been brutalized, mutilated, raped. She had an eyeball gouged out of her head. And it's not a good situation to be in. But this is also a tale of revenge, and how some of the family members of the victims and Claire herself are seeking revenge on the family that did this, thinking that just by letting it go, others are going to suffer the consequences, and they need some way to get rid of their guilt that they are still alive while their family and her friends have all died at the hands of this hillbilly clan. But let me be very clear that one of the great things about this book is that it's not like these people are the only bad people here, the kin in question, and these people are all heroic saviors trying to right a massive wrong. Because all the characters in this book, all the survivors and all the family of the people that didn't survive, they are all flawed human beings. They are really going through struggles mentally. Of course, Claire physically. They all have their issues. They all have their reasons, no matter how wrong-minded they are about wanting to get revenge for what has happened to Claire and the rest of her friends. And those motivations are often very not unlike the motivations the clan has for doing what they do. Okay, they're not really grounded in this vision of just being a heroic savior. They're doing it sometimes from a very selfish place, and from a place of mental anguish, PSTD, and other issues that they have. So it's not necessarily right versus wrong, even though the clan family is definitely wrong. They are the bad guys. Make no doubt about that. They are evil people in monsters in human clothing, as it were. But Claire and the other people who are seeking to go back to this town of Elkwood and get revenge for what has happened, they're not exactly, pure at heart, shall we say. This is not a story about people who were living a nice, happy, suburban, carefree, stress-free life and all of a sudden got thrust into the situation. This is about people that were flawed beforehand, and this event kind of pushed them over the edge, and now they must seek their revenge. It's the only thing they can think of to try to get rid of some of that guilt and some of that anger that they hold within themselves. And this book has a lot of blood and gore. It has a lot of action. And it has those two tales of a family thinking they're right by God to do these things, and the people who want to go back and seek revenge against them. And here's the thing, this tale will take you all over different parts of the country. It's not just set in this one town of Elkwood. It'll take you to the suburbs. It'll take you to the inner city of Detroit. Different characters come into play. Some have seemingly minor roles at first, but then all these characters kind of click and connect in different ways, and none of them good. And then it all comes together at the end. And the ending is action-packed. But of course, because it's a horror book, people will die along the way, and it's kind of sad to see them go because you spent so much time with these characters. But man, this is a really gripping, terrifying read. This is a scary book. I really love a horror book that doesn't put on pretenses and pretend it's something that's not. This is a book of full-on horror, and the scenes are gruesome. Some of the subject matter will make you shake your head and not want to turn that next page, but by God, you know you have to because it's so well written. The characters are all fully developed. You're not getting, cardboard cutouts of just the basic traits of different kinds of people. These are all fully fleshed out characters that you get to know throughout the book, including the family itself. And like I said, that's some of the scariest portions of the book, seeing their motivation and how, I mean, let's face it, man, people buy a lot of self-help books sometimes, trying to get motivated. After reading this book, I think people need less motivation because these guys are motivated by a very strong but very wrong belief. And to me, that's scarier, like I said, than somebody doing it just because they can, just at random. But yeah, the book is called Kin, and of course, I highly recommend it. It's a great, scary thrill ride of a read. You won't be disappointed. Let me know in the comments if you've already read it, and let me know what you think. I enjoyed every page of this book, and man, the author was right. I accepted his challenge, and he was correct. I loved it. I'll leave a link down below if you haven't read it. You can buy it on Amazon. I'll also leave a link down below to my Twitter if you want to join me on there. And as always, thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. I really, really appreciate it. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.